before the year ends, before the noise resets. One conversation remains.
This is not just another episode. This is the grand podcast of 2025.
The final
Conversation of the year.
A year full of posts, full of opinions, full of noise.
And one system that watched it all quietly.
Patiently. They call it 360 Brew, but most people only see the surface. Tonight, never did. Beyond hacks, beyond trends.
Into how visibility is decided, how credibility is measured,
And why opportunity moves before you do.
like Adam Tiger.
The Kohinoor of the digital world.
A mind that doesn't follow the algorithm.
It understands it.
This is not a recap. This is a revelation.
If you're a creator,
A recruiter.
a founder, or anyone building trust in a digital world.
This conversation closes the year for a reason.
As this year comes to a close, we thank you for listening, thinking, and growing with us. From all of us at SHAQ, we wish you a Merry Christmas
And a happy week.
and a Happy New Year. Detroit 360 quality,
Not just visibility.
not just visibility.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Before we begin, I want everyone to take a deep breath with me because this is not just another episode of the SHAQ podcast. This is the final podcast of 2025, and we chose this conversation deliberately. 2025 was a year where many of you felt something shift. You posted more, yet reached fewer people. You followed the advice, yet opportunity felt delayed. Most people blamed content, some blamed timing, and very few asked the right questions. Who is actually deciding? Today, we answer that. The title of today's conversation is The Grand Podcast of 2025. When the system decides, we explain. Because today is not about tactics. It's about understanding 360 Brew, not as a buzzword, not as a rumor, but as the system shaping visibility, credibility, and opportunity on LinkedIn right now. And to do this conversation justice, and to do this justice to this conversation, I needed someone rare, not a commentator, not a trend chaser, not a growth hacker. I needed someone who understands how the system thinks. Ladies and gentlemen, visionaries and thinkers, if there is one person you should listen to when it comes to 360 Brew, it is the Kohinoor of the digital world, Mike Adam. Mike is not just a LinkedIn expert. He's not just a trainer. He's not just a strategist. Mike is someone who has spent 2 decades observing patterns most people scroll past. Someone who understands identity, intent, trust, and behavior, not separately, but as one system. When Mike talks about 360 Brew, he doesn't speculate. he explains. When others offer hacks, Mike offers clarity. That's why I call him the Kohinoor of the digital world. Kohinoor is a diamond in the crown of in the royal crown of Queen Elizabeth. Just to make that clear, to be very honest, a rare Mike Adam is not only the Kohinoor of the digital world, he is rare, irreplaceable, and impossible to fake. Mike, it is an absolute honor to have you back on the SHAQ podcast for this grand finale. How are you today?
Thank you. And thank you for having me on your podcast, the final of the year. I didn't realize it was the final one, but thank you for having me as your last guest in 2025. And I look forward to our little conversation about what's happening on LinkedIn and why is it happening and how do we have to understand what is happening.
So, Mike, the first question, as always, how's the weather outside and what's going on? What's up?
Oh, the weather's okay. It's not that cold. It's not raining. The sun is not shining, but it's winter. So what do you expect? Everything is what it's supposed to be. It's actually warmer than usual. So I'm not complaining.
As you already know, LinkedIn has rolled out a new AI system, 360 Brew, which is, we doesn't know about it, how it works and how it performs. The only thing which we know right now is LinkedIn is pushing many new things into the algorithm and our reach is falling. And we've been discussing about 360 Brew in our last episodes. Now we are going to go deep. We are going to dive deep into this subject with Mike Adams. So, Mike, I'm going to, I'm going to open the questions now, if you kindly permit me, and let's dive deep into this subject. And in the meanwhile, if my audience have any questions, you can put them across in the comments, and I'm going to put them across to Mike, and he's going to answer them all. The question number one would be, 360 Brew is described as a decoder only foundation model, replacing multiple legacy systems. Architecturally, what design choices allow one model to reason across feed, jobs, people, and ads without collapsing into noise?
Well, you have to understand that in the past, every part of LinkedIn had different little modules that ranked people, that ranked content, and all of that stuff. And with 360 Brew, what LinkedIn wants to do is basically create one brain. That's the best way I can bring it forward, where the different tasks, i.e. a search, i.e. a post distribution, i.e. a comment that you make, all of that is done is entered into this one brain like we do in our own brain. So the system looks at the meaning, not just the clicks, and words become more important. So the system is like a brain, learning over time and understanding our behavior, what we talk about, and so on, and what we want to see, and has the possibility to eliminate weak signals, like, for example, a like, which is a weaker signal, so that can be ignored and that you only have the right information. So, and it is consistent across the whole of LinkedIn, which means that your profile becomes more important, at least the text in your profile. The posts that you make have to be in line with what your profile says. Your comments on people have to be in line with what your profile and your content is. So it kind of learns who you are and how you behave. And that is the big advantage of moving to a model like this, because it is basically building up a big brain, and it allows you to know us, or it allows LinkedIn or whatever to know us better as a whole.
Okay, so that means that we have to concentrate more on the profile optimization part. That is, we have to put everything in order, everything according to the system now.
Yes, and more importantly, the text in your profile, i.e. your headline, the about section, the text in your current job, the skills that are in your profile, all of these text fields now will feed into the big brain, the 360 Brew, which you could compare also, which I've done in a previous session, you could compare it to a mini ChatGPT, where you upload everything that is yours so that the system understands who you are. So, but it's all about the text and the words, and less about the clicks that we do.
Well, that's interesting. Well, this is out of context question. In the last episode as well, I tried to ask you how much investment did LinkedIn I mean, say money wise, monetary wise, why and why? I mean, say it's a huge investment, and why at this moment?
Well, it's a huge investment. I have no idea how much money LinkedIn is throwing at this, or Microsoft is throwing at this, because at the end of the day, it will be Microsoft money in some form or shape. But there's a lot of money going towards AI. And why? Because the current way, or the older way that LinkedIn is set up, has its limitation to grow and to add new functionality, and to obviously give you the right answers in the shortest possible time. I mean, we started out on LinkedIn 22 years ago with a few members. Now we're 1.3 billion, which takes a lot of power and structure to actually use the data that LinkedIn has, plus all the text data that is there, to actually make that work and give us answers quickly. So it made perfect sense for LinkedIn to go to this AI model, where the central part, which is the 360 Brew, is becoming the big brain, and all the applications will feed into that big brain to be able to deliver speed, correct information, and everything we want from the platform in terms of growth.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for letting me know that. I never knew about that before, but thank you so much for answering that in detail. The best leader I have met on LinkedIn is Mr. Kevin Gaylor. He is with us on this podcast. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for being with us. Mike, Kevin, first of all, thank you and good morning. And Kevin says, Mike, is there a simple method or a tool available to assess our profile standing as it relates to this new AI model?
That's a very good question. And in all honesty, I think today the best way to move forward is to take your profile and actually use an AI, whether it's CoPilot, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Claude, and actually ask those AI engines to score and suggest updates based on what an LLM system should provide. So in my belief, and that's what I've been doing over the last few weeks, is I've played around with both Copilot and ChatGPT to actually look at how can I improve my profile, whether it's the headline, whether it's the skills, whether it's the about section, and so on, to possibly make more sense to be read by the AI system by LinkedIn.
Yes. So yes, Kevin, and even you can reach out to Mike, and he would be happy to answer all your questions as well, related to LinkedIn profile optimization. Mike, you also give classes on LinkedIn training and things like that. So you can reach out to Mike anytime, and he would be happy to answer all your questions. Okay, so to my audience, before we go even deeper into 360 Brew, I want to hear from you. Drop your city and country in the comments. Tell us what changed for you on LinkedIn in 2025, and how are you preparing yourself for 360 Brew in 2026? You might have seen changes in your reach. You might have experienced less reach or confusion, and more importantly, uh, do you have any idea about what's happening in the backstage? Or yes, Mike, you want to add something?
Well, the other thing I would like to add at this point is LinkedIn is still in the process of training the AI. So LinkedIn is currently working with let's call it a limited learning sets. And as we move along into 2026, LinkedIn will be learning more about who you are, what you do. And the biggest challenge we all have is that we do not know where LinkedIn actually stands when it comes to learning or training the AI for everything it wants to do. So that's one element that is at this point really unclear. Are they at 10%? Are they at 50%? Are they at 70%? But nobody knows except for LinkedIn. But I think there is a lot of data that LinkedIn has to go through to train its AI system. Second of all, is once the AI is trained, all the applications, and that's currently happening in the background, and some of it is already moving to the foreground. But in all honesty, all those applications have to be adapted so they make use of the fabulous functionality that this AI brain system is providing to LinkedIn. So that is also something that we'll see over the course of the next year, and it might have a big influence on our reach. It might have a big influence on the people that we find, but there too, there is a lot of development going on to actually make the best out of the brain, the 360 Brew, and the applications.
Question number 2 for you, Mike. From a scientific perspective, what fundamentally changes when LinkedIn moves from feature engineered recommenders to a text-first foundational model that learns representations instead of relying on explicit rules?
Well, as I said in the beginning, each of the modules that constitute LinkedIn, whether it's searching, recommendation of people, distribution of posts, all of that had to be or was hard coded into the system. Now with this with 360 Brew, there are less of these manual rules. It's more about learning what's happening. It's the words that are going to make the difference, and no longer the clicks, and no longer hard-coded what people thought was the right thing to do. So the system will, in this manner, adapt a whole lot faster to changes. When you change your title, when people with new titles come on board, when you add skills. So it is going to be simpler to move forward. And by doing that, 360 Brew is beginning to understand the intent of our interactions and will be much more precise at predicting what we will see and who we will see. So there's going to be context, just like we have a brain and we see everything in context. It's a similar approach with 360 Brew. But like I said, it will take a little bit of time for all these entry points to make the most of this. But it's all about learning and learning from our behavior and our words. And that will make LinkedIn understand us better, what we want, who we want to talk to, and what we want to see.
Okay. So you just said that LinkedIn will, I mean, say 360 Brew act like a human eye, right? However, whatever we watch and what we keep in our minds, so what LinkedIn was doing, what LinkedIn algorithm was doing previously, and what change 360 Brew is bringing. Is it bringing a human touch? I mean, say AI brings a human touch to this platform?
To a certain degree, yes. But the thing is, in the past, LinkedIn was developed as, I don't like to say it that way, but LinkedIn is basically a siloed group of applications, and every application, every element was developed by a group, not talking the same language, not interfacing with each other, and they all created their own rules, their own ideas about how the questions that people would answer or would ask would be answered. Now, with a central information point, which is, the 360 Brew, where all the data is, where all the links are, all this becomes more transparent, and it makes it also easier for the system to understand. Because if we were doing one thing in the search and we were doing something completely different in posting, they wouldn't talk to each other. There would be no link. Now there is a link. There is an understanding of how these two come together and make us, better understood.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So again, I in the last episode when we were discussing about 360 Bro, and we spoke about the profiles which are not genuine, and I also asked you about how 360 Brew is going to verify between these profiles, genuine fake profiles, and things like that. So now today, I'm not going to ask the same question again, but I want to ask one very specific question, which is very important for all the people, especially the job seekers. Just today, I was discussing this with one of my colleagues in morning, and I just I'm concerned about the fake job postings. Is 360 Bro is going to bring some dynamic revolution, or not revolution, but dynamic change when it comes to fake job postings and people posting jobs for a longer period of time and old job postings, because that is creating a heavy hassle for job seekers, especially the fake job postings. So how do you think that 360 Bro is going to bring changes in the area of security and privacy and things like that? So,
That is going to be a very interesting question to address. LinkedIn obviously wants to get rid of everything that's fake on the platform. And what they can do with 360 Brew is they can start training it on what fake jobs look like, and then intervene in the right way, or at least tell people at LinkedIn that these are fake jobs. But I think if the behavior, if there is a certain behavior when these fake jobs show up and with what they show up, then the platform can be trained on recognizing what a fake job could look like. And then it might be simpler to get rid of them. To the same way that LinkedIn is going to try and figure out how people make fake profiles. And if they consider that a profile is fake, well, they will be flagged more earlier in the process than later in the process. So because it's a learning environment, because it keeps learning from the behavior, from what it sees, and that will help possibly reduce the number of fake jobs, possibly the number of fake profiles, and obviously the techniques that people are using today to cheat in terms of post distribution. So obviously LinkedIn wants to get rid of that, but in all honesty, that's going to be that is a big task ahead for LinkedIn, and that will require massive training.
So you say that 360 Brew is only in the initial stages and it's still a learning, examining the behavior. Do you think that there is?
I think today we are only at the beginning of the learning stage. The easiest part for learning is reading the profiles. And I think that's the part that is probably the most advanced of them all. I think when it comes down to content, our posts, our comments, that will take a considerable amount of time to read all our posts, to actually create all the references it needs to create so that it better understands who we are. I think that will take more time, and we are there possibly only in the beginning of the training phase, while with profiles, I would assume that that is the possibly easiest part to train 360 Brew on.
Well, thank you so much for letting us know that, because that was a question which was, bothering me for a long time. And to be very honest with you, many people, as I value honesty, integrity, and I also value very much helping others, doing good for others. The biggest thing which we can do, or I can do through SHAQ podcast, is saving people from scams. So that was an important question, and thank you so much for answering that. In all honesty, I also wanted to ask you one more thing. Do you think that there is going to be a time in the coming future when LinkedIn is going to cross-verify your credentials, like your company title, if you are a CEO, or if you are a manager, or if you are a vice president of a company? Will LinkedIn ask you to verify that? Or let's go even deeper. If you say that you are a software engineer, or if you say that you are a doctor, to be very honest, I'm just taking names of important fields where certification is needed, where a degree is needed, where a document from a license is needed, for only important professions. Do you think that LinkedIn is going to cross-verify the documents before you put in the title, or before you put in the credentials, your degrees, into the profile, before feeding them into the profile? Do you think that LinkedIn is going to cross-check all this detail to make the profiles more authentic? Because LinkedIn has started to verify these LinkedIn profiles through passports, through their personal IDs. So do you think that there is going to be a time in future where LinkedIn is going to make the process even strict in regards to verifying the profile?
In all honesty, I think the answer is no, because of privacy reasons. However, if they would want to do that, I'm sure they can, if that information is public information. If for example, if you're a doctor and the university that you studied at to become your doctor and got your degree from, they list you as an official doctor, or if there is a medical association that lists you as they theoretically could. Are they going to do that? I think not. I think that is one step too far. And I think they would definitely only, if they would do it, it would only be done in the US and nowhere else, because they are treading on all kinds of privacy elements across the globe, and not to speak about GDPR in Europe. They would be up in arms if anybody would do something like that. I think it's always going to be a process where you as an individual, when you enter your ID, that you maybe get a checkbox that says, you know, I check this box to say I am, but I don't think LinkedIn will ever go that far to cross-check. And if they do, it's only going to be public information that would be there.
So, in all honesty, if that is not going to happen in the coming future, which I really want to see, the change LinkedIn should impose on the profiles from now on. But if, in all honesty, if they does not verify those details, it's very hard to catch people who are making some scam profiles. Anyways, time can only tell. It's all the answers are all concealed in the future. We are here to discuss about 360 Brew and how it works. So let's get on with that. So question number 3 for you, Mike, would be, and it's based on the same foundation model and architecture of 360 Brew and how it's working. So Mike, I want to ask you, do you believe 360 Brew is trained more like a language model on serialized professional behavior, or more like a ranking system reinforced by downstream outcomes? And why does that distinction matter?
Well, maybe we'll start with why it matters, because that's the simplest of things. What LinkedIn wants to do is LinkedIn wants to stop all the hacks, the cheating that is being done today. So what needs to, what LinkedIn is going to be doing, it's going to learn as much about you as possible, and it will happen over time. It's not a one-time action that will define who you are. It's going to be over a decent time, a few weeks, a few months, maybe a year, depending. That, you know, there's no real specific data there. But LinkedIn will actually try and score you as every possible way, and it will act like a language model. So it'll look at how you speak, what you talk about, and you know, that will be more of LinkedIn finding out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And from there, there is an understanding of who you are, what you do, and who do you want to reach? Who do you want to have conversations with? So to a certain sense, you are scored, but you're scored over a longer period of time. So it's not like because you did this today, that you're going to get the same thing happening. So it's going to be based on your behavior, on the words you speak, and that will lead to less hacks, to people being able to cheat the system as they are today. It will be the end of comment this to get that, or people that say nice post, well done. So all the pot activity and all the clickbait will be removed. Plus, you as an individual who created that post, if you continue to do that, you are going to go lower and lower in the ranking system with your content, and you will be presented to fewer people. So those posts eventually will lose all tractions. And the people that make relevant content that interests your audience will actually be shown more to those people, even if they're not connected with you. So it's a massive change from clicks and comments as fast as you can and whatever have you. There are other elements that will help draw a picture of you so that LinkedIn understands you much better. And that's the whole concept behind 360 Brew. LinkedIn wants to understand who we are so that we can get the right information and we distribute the right information, of course.
Okay, let's say that's interesting. But 360 Brew, this is a program where this, to be very honest, what I feel is this is a kind of a different AI when compared to other AIs which we have already, like ChatGPT and other stuff.
Actually, it's not. It actually is the same basis. It's the same concept, because if you have a ChatGPT, a CoPilot, you can feed information into it to start that AI understanding who you are and what you want to do. So whenever you ask a question, then it's much more tailored, and tailored is always, you always have to be a little careful, but it is the concept on what it is built is actually the same as ChatGPT, as I've mentioned in the past. You either look at it as a brain or you look at it as ChatGPT, depending on what angle or what's your preferred image that you want to use.
In all honesty, just wanted to ask you one more question here, just out of curiosity, not from the list of questions. Last time we spoke over the call, the network call, completely offline, not on a podcast. You told me that 360 Brew studies your profile, and I had my job title as the host of the SHAQ podcast. So you advised me to just make sure that my profile is aligned to one specific job. But like me, many other professionals, many other people who have transitioned their careers from various fields. Like, for example, I'll just give you my example. Back in 2000, the ending of 2014 and the beginning of 2015, I've started my career with banking, and that too into sales, to be very honest. And I used to work in the credit card division of National Bank Card Corp, and that was located in Texas. And then I transitioned my career from sales to tech support because I'm a tech guy. I'm a software engineer. With all honesty, you and me have worked for the same company, Unisys Global Services. Well, I worked in the Microsoft division, and also in the division where we used to work on the F-16 radar for the United States Air Force. Well, that was my work. I transitioned myself from sales to to tech support, or should I say software, as a system analyst. And I used to upgrade the softwares. And then suddenly I transitioned my career. You might be thinking, well, I'm hopping so many careers, but I changed my career to technical recruiting. So now this is a different field again, recruitment. From then on, I've been working as a technical recruiter. Then I got promoted to a lead recruiter, manager, assistant manager, even to the vice president of a company, to that scale, to the C-suite. I've seen the C-suite as well. Before starting my own business, that is during COVID time. Till 2023, I was working full time, 9 to 5, completely Eastern time zones, New York time.
Mhm,
So I've been working 9 to 5 completely.
mhm,
And then I've started my own business, which took off really, and I am doing great, earning great. Now, I started my business as a consultant for people who are looking for jobs, transitioning, trying to transition from one career to other career. So as a job coach, as a career coach, as a person who gives
mhm,
advice on the resume and things like that.
mhm,
That is my company, which is still running. That is SHAQ Consulting. Then again, in just before 2025, at the end of 2024, in October, I think in October or November last year, October, to be very honest, in last year, I've started this new venture, which is a SHAQ podcast, which I
mhm,
feel very lucky about, and it's
mhm,
going great. I have
mhm,
made around uh, I've made good money as well, and
mhm.
also I get recognition all over the globe through my social media
Okay.
channels. As I've already told you, that I'm trying to get
Mhm,
into the TV media as well. So social media, I'm becoming famous and famous day by day. So now, just keeping it short, I have transitioned so many times. Now, what do you have to say about that, and how 360 Brew is going to treat me? When I have different
I
job
hear what
titles
I hear what
across various industries and in many domains.
I hear what you say, and that you're obviously not alone to transition from one industry to the next, different functions within industries. Now, the thing is that as you change to different careers, you adapt your profile, and the thing is, 360 Brew looks at the most current experiences, and the older ones are still kept but have less influence on how LinkedIn sees you. But you still, as you grow into your new career, you start talking the right language within that industry or career, you start publishing information in that career, it becomes a main driver. And for the the 360 Brew to understand who you are. We all have a past. I mean, mine is 40 years long. There's things on there that are today not relevant. There are people who say maybe I should get rid of them. Maybe I shouldn't, but that's. I know that that is today not considered as important, and it will age as you move forward in time. So the system continues to learn and continues to adapt to your new environment, to your new functions. If, of course, you stay in line with your new job and your new environment. If, for example, you start liking and commenting and writing about everything you've done in the past, well, don't expect this platform to provide you with information that would be useful to you today in your new function. So, as you evolve and your content evolves, your profile evolves, your interactions evolve, the system learns that you come into a new world. And that will also help you to actually go further. Because one thing the system is really good at eventually is it is really good at putting us in bubbles. And as you go through your career, you will end up in different kinds of bubbles depending on what's there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for answering that question in detail.
Mhm,
Um, well, that's interesting. To all the people who are watching me live and watching Mike Adams live, well, Mike has also is a very generous person, and
mhm,
also he's always ready to answer all your questions. Mike, I have a question. You know,
mhm,
related to my audience, and my audience might be wondering if they want to optimize their profile, if they want to get training from you, if organizations wants to hire you for training sessions.
Mhm.
What do you have to say about that? And are you available to train teams, organizations, and take classes? Are you available in person or online? How do you think that,
I do online, I do in person, and the best way to get in touch with me is via LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I would nearly say 24/7, but that's the wrong answer. But a lot of the time, so get in touch with me, follow me, connect with me, and if you have any questions, never hesitate. Always ask me the question, and I guarantee you, I will find the answer that you're looking for.
awesome, awesome, and also at a very, very reasonable price. But first, get in touch with Mike, and
Questions are answered for free.
okay, here you go. Here you go. Question and answers for free. If
Yep.
organizations want to understand and train,
Mhm.
see, understand this 360 Bro, and people who are looking for, there
Mhm.
are different aspects where LinkedIn is used to generate leads and things like that. You can.
Mhm.
This is the go-to experts to reach out to. You can always ask questions. You can always understand what is your situation. Mike is going
Mhm.
to assess you, analyze your profiles, then let you know the best course of action. Just get in touch with Mike. Is very generous to answer all your questions. I have had the pleasure of knowing Mike for at least for 1 year now, and he's the most generous person I've met online. And also he has been very helpful when it comes to helping us with our LinkedIn profiles and all the knowledge he shares
Mhm.
with us online. So this is the go-to person to understand 360 Brew. This is the best
Mhm.
person if you have any questions, because 360 Brew is going to change the landscape of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not going to be like before. Say it's going to be. It is. You will see. Say I'm not telling you. I'm not creating a hype. You will see in the coming future that LinkedIn
Mhm.
has changed. It's already changing. It is already changing, and it will change
Mhm.
more. And if you want to
Yep.
understand 360 Brew, reach out to Mike. That is my request. And see, there is advice available on the internet.
Mhm.
There is advice available on LinkedIn. But from my eyes, whatever me and my research team, I've got a small team, but what we saw is nobody has answers for they does not know about 360 Brew. They does not have the knowledge about 360 Brew, but they are trying to explain it without knowing anything about it. But
Mhm.
Mike stands different from the crowd. He has worked on LinkedIn. He has been a trainer for about 20 years, Mike. Now, I think
Yep.
more than 20 years.
Yep. True.
And he, yeah, and he understands LinkedIn like no one else. This is the person to reach out to for all your questions regarding the new algorithm changes, the new 360 Brew AI platform, and you will come to know in the coming future that I'm not lying. I'm telling you the
Mhm.
honest and the brutal truth, and I always live by those
Mhm.
principles: honesty and
Okay.
integrity. So this is the person to reach out to. So anyhow, just moving on with the next question. We've got less time, guys, but Mike has been very generous
Mhm.
to give us some more time, at least 30
Mhm.
minutes more. That is possible.
Yeah.
So moving on quickly to the next question, which is question number 4. Now, this question is based on member representation and personalization, which we have already spoke about. So, Mike, the question number 4 is: LinkedIn data is messy. Profiles, posts, comments, searches, clicks, and dwell time. How do you think 360 Brew converts a member's entire professional life into a coherent sequence the model can reason over?
Well, the way it works is everything becomes a timeline. Everything becomes part of a timeline. Action like searches, comments, posts are put in some time order. The smaller actions like a like or one-time behavior are grouped together because they're less important. And the text that is being used from the profiles or from the post, that is going to provide or connect the dots. So that will bring all the knowledge together, will tie all the links. And of course, like I said, that not every action is the same, has the same weight. Some are more important than others. Writing a comment, sending a message is probably more important. It's not probably, it is more important than doing a quick poll or a like. And at the end of the line, this timeline will tell a complete, clear story. At the end of the line, and I used to say this about Facebook, and I'm going to say this now about LinkedIn, but which is after a little while, when all the systems are up and running, LinkedIn will know us better than we know ourselves. The story that we tell to LinkedIn and how we behave on LinkedIn will be much more clearer for the AI system than what we perceive it to be ourselves. Obviously, we'll recognize it, but it will never be as clear as it's put into data and as it's part of a timeline. And you'll see that all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm doing all these things, and that's why this is happening. So it becomes a clear story by putting all the actions, like I said, on a timeline to make the system, or to have the system learn how we behave and what we are interested in and who we're interested in.
Well, that's interesting. That's very informating and immersive. Just out of curiosity, I just wanted to know more detail about two questions, if there is a chance, if you can give me a chance. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Kevin. He has been a very good supporter of today's podcast, and thank you so much, Kevin, for being with us. I know you're a busy person, but thank you so much for joining us. So before proceeding further, I just wanted to know quickly, 60 seconds for each question. What is dwell time? And please let us know about GDPR law.
Dwell time is really the time you spend on reading a post. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. It's the time you spend reading reading the post. So and there is two types of dwell time on LinkedIn today. There is the dwell time above default, which is basically how long do you look at the 3 lines that are showing up in your home feed. And then there is the time that you spend after you press more, so that you see the full post. So the longer you look at the post and supposedly read the post, that is considered dwell time. And the more you look, the more advantages it delivers for both the reader and for the person who shared the post. That's the short answer on dwell time. GDPR is a regulation within Europe that protects the citizens from having their personal data stolen and abused, meaning that if you want some personal data from people, they have to consent. They have to say, yes, you can have it. But before they can have it, they have to tell you, for example, why they want it, how long they're going to keep it, and a bunch of other elements that come into place. So GDPR is a way to not get your personal data stored, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people don't want to get their LinkedIn account verified using persona because you provide them through your passport all kinds of data. They say the data disappears after 30 days and all of that stuff, but a lot of Europeans don't believe that that is actually the case, and I'm a little wary of if they really do it. Obviously they can't do anything else, but at the end of the day, GDPR protects our rights as individuals and basically protects our data.
Okay, well, that's great. Good to know. I never knew about that detail about GDPR. So that's a law in Europe. What about the US? Does that same law applies to US as well?
No.
Oh, okay. No. So
in the US,
we
there
can
is no
use the data.
GDPR. And I mean, it's there are certain regulations in the US, I would assume, but it's not as strict as it is in Europe. And I wouldn't say under the current administration, but I think all laws about personal data are kind of thrown out of the window anyways. I mean, if I consider coming back to the US next year, I have to complete one of these infamous ESTA forms, and they are beginning to ask me all about my social media profiles. They're beginning to ask me personal details about my family, which is data that I normally in Europe should not have to disclose. So there are different rules in the US and in the rest of the world.
Yes, exactly. I just came to know that you have to give personal data. The data from 5 years back of your social media kind of thing,
Yep.
and also some relatives. You need to give your relatives phone numbers for the past 10 years, where your relatives have been working. And I'm not sure what's going on with Mr.
Well, the thing is, the current administration wants this data. Whoever is president or whoever is driving it doesn't really matter. It's the administration who wants the data. So I think either you comply or you decide that you're not going to go and visit the United States in that manner.
Anyhow,
which is a pity because the World Championships soccer are happening next year. I would assume that a lot of Europeans will not go because of these reasons.
Okay, well, that's news to me. But anyhow, people, will be traveling to US. Is it happening for everyone? You were in the US just some days back.
Yep.
What do you want to share? Anything that happened to you in the airport? What did they ask apart from the luggage?
I mean, for the moment, it's still, as far as I'm concerned, it's still the same. I mean, I was still traveling on my ESTA that now is 2 years old, so I need to renew it. But it wasn't any different than what I've experienced in the past. They never asked me any questions obviously they ask why you were there, but that's about it. So I mean, for me, it wasn't really difficult or different. But who knows if once they get, the procedure on the road that they're going to go through, that might be a different story, because I'm kind of wondering if you provide that data and they go back into your social media channels, if you then show up on immigration and they come and I'm really wondering if they will bring certain of these subjects up or not. I mean, who's going to deal with the amount of data that you produce on social media and dig it up for every person who comes into the United States? I think it's going to be just random people that are going to get picked up for that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Random people, that's a great thing, because I wanted to tell you that yes, in the previous days as well, when we when when we used to travel to the US, I
Mhm.
still remember not everyone was questioned hard. There were some people, they were,
Mhm.
because of their behavior, they just point out some people, and they question them about the
Yeah.
passport, why they are visiting, is it business or
Yeah.
pleasure, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right now the situation, according to the new administration's rules and regulations, that
Mhm.
they just have strict rules. Anyhow, we are not
Mhm.
here, we are not here to discuss about the rules.
I was going to say maybe we should go back to the topic of today, which is 360 Brew, and your next question.
Exactly. Let's go back to the topic. So, next question is, again, based on the member representation and personalization. How important is a sequence now? In other words, does the order in which someone learns, posts, and engages matter more to 360 Brew than raw engagement totals?
Yes, the order actually matters. Um, what you do first, what you do next, and what you do later tells a story about the whole picture that you're trying to paint. You gotta learn, you gotta read, save, follow topics before you start posting, and your posts show up with other people. You got to show your interest in that stuff. So learning before you post, engaging, meaning commenting, saving, will be more important than producing many posts. And also, if you get 100 likes a day, maybe that will count for a whole lot less than that it does today. But the important thing will, and this is already the case today, consistency will build trust with your audience. Meaning the people that get to see your posts, and I can see that every day, the people that react to my posts, those are people that I've gained their trust with. I can call them up, I can send them a message, I will get an answer. So consistency over a longer period of time will actually win you the visibility. But the sequence is important. The order in which you do things is going to be important.
Exactly. I totally agree
Mhm.
with you on this. And thank you so much for answering that question. Quickly moving on to the next question, which I have for you,
Mhm.
which is based on the member representation and personalization again. Question number
Mhm.
6, it says, from a modeling perspective, is 360 Brew optimizing more for who you are or who you are becoming? And what signals would differentiate the two?
Well, it focuses more on who you are becoming. It moves forward. The old data, the old whatever your jobs, your skills, whatever, the lower the data is in your profile, the more it will fade away and will become less important in how you move forward. So your new behaviors, your new posts, your new searches will send stronger systems or signals than the older ones. And so it's the direction is more important than the history. But the history will still be used, of course, a little bit. And as you move forward, you're actually continuously training the system. So it's like our brain. We learn new things as we go along. The things that we haven't done in a long time kind of fades, right?
Okay.
I mean, if you're no longer drive, I look at it. You drive a car with an automatic gearbox, and you drive a car with a manual gearbox. I've learned to drive with a car with a manual gearbox. Now I drive for the last 10 years an automatic. I have not lost the art of driving with a manual gearbox, but it is becoming something that is not important for how I have to drive today. And the same is true for this system. you build towards the future based on what you do today, and everything that's old will slowly fade away and have less influence on what actually is brought forward.
Okay. I mean, say we just discussed about this before about the profile. So the history of our working somewhere will still be there, but the relevant part is the current or the latest information which which we have,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
profile has.
Yeah. So what you're looking at is all theories indicate at this point that 360 Brew will look at your current and one from current jobs to figure out what you do.
Exactly.
And everything you've done in the past. So everything you did in the past will no longer be picked up. Well, it will be picked up. It will be there in the background. It will annoy a little bit of how you want to go forward because it is still there, which brings always up the discussion: should you leave it there? Should you take it away? I think you should leave it there, but then again, some people would say take it away.
Exactly. So moving on to the next question, but before that, Mike, we are running out of time, and
yes, we are.
Now we've got around 15 questions to cover. So because of that, is it possible that we can continue the session tomorrow as well, same time?
Unfortunately, tomorrow it will not be possible. On Wednesday, I can do it.
Okay, well, that's great, because these are important questions, and I have requested only 30 minutes, and we only have 15 more minutes. So anyhow, moving on to the next question. I'll be speaking to you over the call about this. Okay. Speaking now, we will start about the ranking, incentive, and power. This is the main theme of 360 Brew, and now we are diving even deep into this subject. So question number 7: 360 Brew doesn't just rank content; it allocates opportunity. How do you think LinkedIn balances short-term engagement metrics with long-term professional value without rewarding clickbait?
Well, not all engagement is treated the same. A thoughtful comment or a message will matter more than a like or a comment. And short-term spikes of attention will be watched, but if it's a spike, it will fade very quickly because it doesn't build up trust within the system. And the other thing is, if people come back to you, if they return, they comment, they start conversations, again, the content will gain value. And professional outcomes are obviously the signals, because they lead to profile views, they lead to saving of your content, they lead to messaging, and those are seen as more important signals to the whole system. So it's kind of like, even digitally, you're building trust over time by being consistent, by being helpful, and by having more than one-off conversations, or having more than one-off conversation. So what you're building an ecosystem of people who trust you and who like you, and obviously they know about you, which is the formula in reverse. But it's the one thing that's built into the whole concept is that short answers, clickbait-like answers, are going to be penalized because they are not considered to be value-add content, and they can be more easily taken out of the system with the 360 Brew than they were with the traditional systems.
That's great. Thank you so much for answering that question in such detail. Moving on, not moving on, but out of curiosity, I just wanted to ask you one more question out of the list. Okay.
Okay.
So, okay. What advice do you have for people who have just graduated and does not have a LinkedIn profile and just started a LinkedIn profile in 2026? What advice do you want to give to people who are students, have just started and looking for a job and just registered on the platform based on 360 Brew, happening so much with 360 Brew and things like that?
Okay. I think number one is, and this is true for a new graduate, as well as a salesperson, as well as a recruiter, as well as a marketeer, define what your goal or objective is. If you don't have a goal or objective, it's going to be tough to actually make a profile that is consistent with where you want to move to. So one, define what your goal is. How do you see your future job? How do you see your future employer? What are some of the things that are of interest? The next step is to think about your profile, saying, okay, things that should always be there is a background picture, which kind of like tells people what you're looking for, what you're dreaming of, what role you're envisioning. Add a good profile picture, have your name, of course, written correctly. You could consider getting verified. Not that it does make a huge difference, but we're at 8% of the community that's verified, so you might as well try and get a verification. And then the real work starts by crafting a headline that kind of like gives the system, but also the people who come to your profile, the direction in what you want to work. What does your dream job, what does your dream environment look like? And try and put that in the headline using your own words. You can use a bit of AI if you want to, but using your own words, and try and make sure that it is in the direction of where you want to go. Next to that is write an about section about yourself, in which you have at the top the most important paragraph to start with is, again, describe what your objective is, what your environment is, what are some of the keywords that you're looking for, what is some of the vocabulary being used of the places where you want to be. Write a good about section. Make a little video about yourself and put it in the featured section. Present yourself, put some extra text in it, and make sure, again, you use the same vocabulary in there. And then obviously, since you don't have a job, it is a bit difficult, but to have a current job, but try and complete your profile as much as you can. Try also to add the skills that you have or would need to work in that job that you are dreaming of doing. Obviously, you can have recommendations. It's probably too soon in your career, but that kind of like rounds off your profile. The next step is to start finding people that you look up to in terms of their job, in terms of their research, but are in your area of where you want to go to. Start following those people, start engaging on their posts, and all of those are signals to 360 Brew. All of those are signals to show to you the right jobs. So by doing those little steps, optimizing your profile, two, making sure that you are following a bunch of people that do a similar role, and three, engage on their content, you are on your way to tell the whole system what your areas of interest are, who you are, what your audience is, who are the people you want to talk to. And from there, you'll see an inflow of both people being suggested that could help you. Two, obviously, you'll have people come to visit your profile, and then it's up to you, of course, to take the necessary actions. In the meantime, you could also be doing some posting, but I guess that is a last step that I would go to.
To all my audience and to all the people who have just graduated, do make sure that you listen to Mike's advice and do reach out to him. You have whatever investment you make with Mike, be it the time, be it the money, or whatever it is going to be worth it. The current job market, as a recruiter myself for a long, long time, the current job market, I have never seen such a horrific situation. I mean, see, I can only tell about the US job market right now. But all over the world, the things are same. I'm not sure if Belgium is also going through the same phase here. But be it France, Belgium, Australia, I'm currently working with the US clients and Australian clients for my consulting business. And the job market which I'm seeing right now is the worst, is the worst. The only thing which you can do is, you have studied hard, you got your degrees, you've just graduated from your college, or be it your, say you've got your associate's degree and just out of college looking for work. The only thing which you can do right now is prepare yourself. Prepare yourself with the right tools. The most important tools when you're looking for a job is your resume and your LinkedIn profile. I would say, according to me, as a recruiter myself for a long period, more than a decade, at least a decade, more than a decade, the most important tool when people are looking for jobs, what recruiters sees, what I saw was before selecting a person or before speaking to that person, even I or any recruiter from anywhere in the world would look at your digital footprints, and in those digital footprints, LinkedIn comes first. And social media, LinkedIn is a platform where you need to be very very active, as Mike have said, and take professional help. There is nothing wrong in taking help. And people please go ahead, Mike, if you want to add something.
No, I think the other thing is also make sure that your other social media, whether it's a Facebook, an Instagram, TikTok, a YouTube, you name it, whatever it is, make sure that when you're looking for a new position or you're looking for your first position, that people know that you know what people see from you. Because if you do a search on anybody's name, you will find their LinkedIn profile as being the number one, but you'll also see their Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And people are curious, including recruiters. They're not only going to look at your LinkedIn profile, which they know you probably have worked on so that it looks professional, but people might also be interested in who are you as a real person, meaning what do you do outside of work or your job search. And they might up on looking at your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile. And it's important that either the data that you don't want to show to people gets deleted or gets hidden behind all kinds of privacy settings, but make sure that that is also clean, because people do look at the other data too, as I have learned from many recruiters that I've worked with, is that they don't limit themselves only to LinkedIn.
Exactly. I totally agree with that because I know inside and outside of the industries, I've been recruiting for tech giants like Software, Verizon,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
many software giants. Also, I have my reach into the aviation sector and many other
mhm,
sectors all over the world. And yes, they
mhm.
do look at your background, there's your social media, your Facebook account and everything. Make sure he does not post anything negative. I mean, say you can be very vocal. It's your right of speech, free speech, but
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
not be
But
local, vocal. Very
just be aware. The thing is, just be aware what is on the internet about you.
exactly, exactly. And you know, I tried my best, but was not able to complete all the questions. So 7 questions I think we have completed today, Mike. Let me
Yep,
see.
that's right.
Uh,
Yep,
Clickbait.
yep.
7 questions we have completed, and we are going to be back with another session on Wednesday, as Mike has promised that he's going to be back on the SHAQ podcast, explaining each and everything in detail for the remaining questions. And these questions and these material will be picked up from this podcast, and it would be edited into short form, long form videos, and it would be available as soon as possible on Spotify, YouTube, X, Truth Social, and Threads and Instagram and many other social media platforms. Do check out my other social media platform as well. I've got other podcast session from Mike, and we are discussing these discussions will go on in the new year as well, because this is work in progress. And I
Mhm,
have I have had the honor of knowing Mike and requesting Mike to be on my podcast for all those
mhm,
sessions discussing about specifically about 360 Bro, because this is the most authentic knowledge you can get all over, for I mean, say, according to me, all over the internet. This is the most
mhm.
authentic knowledge you can gather and get about 360 Pro.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
That's very caring.
Okay. So before we close, I want to be very clear about something. What Mike has shared today is not content, it's understanding. And understanding without execution is just awareness. If this conversation made you pause,
Mhm,
if it made you rethink how you show up on LinkedIn, especially
mhm,
students, if it exposed gaps you didn't know existed, then listening
mhm,
is no longer enough. Mike doesn't offer shortcuts. He doesn't sell hype. He trains professionals, leaders, teams, teenagers, I mean, say, fresh graduates to align with how the system actually works. That's the difference. Okay. So if you want to work with 360 Brew instead of fighting it, if you want visibility built on credibility, not tricks, if you want LinkedIn to become a business engine, not a guessing game, then Mike Adam is the person to work with. His trainings and consulting are for everyone. And, if you're done experimenting and ready to operate at system level, Mike is the person, the go-to person for this thing, especially for 360 Bro. That is what I can say about Mike. And you will find Mike's training programs and services on his LinkedIn profile, on his website as well. I'm going to
mhm.
put all the links after this podcast, under this podcast, so that you can check them out. Also check Mike's featured section, the material in the featured sections, the videos in the featured section, and you'll come to know what I'm talking about, and what is the caliber and the capacity and the specialty of Mike is. So explore them, study them, and when you're ready, take the step, because people who win in 2026 won't be the loudest. They will be the one who understood first. Okay. So to all my audience, thank you so much for joining us today. And also, we are going to continue the session on Wednesday as well. Mike is going to explain more things about 360 Brew we never knew about. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much, Mike, for being a guest today. It was a
Yep.
pleasure.
You're
It was a
You're welcome, and I look forward to continuing our conversation later this week.